quite frightening, really, how adaptable Liverpool have become in the first couple of weeks. Out of 2 months of training with Arne Slot, I mean, Ten Hag's been there 2 years and we haven't seen that yet. Manchester United got the wrong bald Dutch manager, if you ask me.
Liverpool thrashed the pants off of Manchester United at Old Trafford, a 3-0 victory. And after 9 years of success under Jurgen Klopp, many Reds fans were wondering how long it would take Arne Slot to stamp his mark on this new team. But he's done it quicker than many people thought, and in ways you might not have been expecting. And to tell us all about those, I'm joined by Sun Sports tactical guru, Dean Scoggins. Dino, great to be back in the Tactics Exposed studio once again. Liverpool wiped the floor with Man United at the weekend, but you noticed 4 or 5 things that most fans may not have spotted on the telly.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very, very quick impact on tactics from Arne Slot. First of all, his 4-2-4 formation confused the hell out of Man United. We had Dominic Szoboszlai in a new position, 2 players in one. We had McAllister and Gravenberch in the engine room in a new look double pivot in midfield, which is very, very important. And then this is going to enable Trent to actually play as a right back, shock horror, and also Salah to cause even more chaos, which defences beware. And then, of course, they've got Chiesa to come in as well.
Well, look, I was texting you during the game on Sunday, trying my very best to watch it in the same fashion as you do, as a bit of a football nerd. But let's just start with that number one thing that you've noticed there.
Well, the 4-2-4. And straight away, you know, you look at teams where on the TV setup, you'd think they were set up as 4-3-3. They've got Szoboszlai in the midfield, along with Gravenberch and McAllister, with Salah one side, and then they've got Jota and Diaz up front. But very, very quickly, that turns into a 4-2-4. And that's without the ball as well. So that means McAllister and Gravenberch playing as 2 in the middle. And then what was happening was Szoboszlai was going up alongside Jota, with Salah one side and Diaz the other. So 4-2-4 without the ball to try and nick the ball. And that meant Szoboszlai is playing basically a number 9 and a number 10.
Well, that 4-2-4 was the formation I used to play on Pro Evo when I was a kid. You put as many attacking players forward as possible. But in the real world, the idea of playing with just 2 centre midfielders is ridiculous. How did Arne Slot manage to do that at Old Trafford, of all places, without being super exposed at the back?
Well, hard work. You know, we knew they called them mentality monsters when they were under Jurgen Klopp. And look, we've got good players here, right? Arne Slot's been given good players to take over. But also, I was shocked at how tactically aware Szoboszlai was for this formation change. You know, he was slotting in to play as part of that midfield when they didn't have the ball. And then they were absolutely pressing full on with 4 players. And look, you've got to be a good side to get out from there. And Man United just weren't good enough. But we could spend an age talking about how bad Man United were. But let's talk about how good Liverpool were in that setup, where basically what happens is that Salah one side, Diaz the other, come back in to stop the opposition inverting their fullbacks, which is the in vogue, fashionable thing. And then Jota and Szoboszlai played virtually alongside each other as false 9s, number 10s, however you want to put it, to absolutely cram that midfield area around Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo. And then McAllister and Gravenberch are there to pounce, which is what Gravenberch did for that first goal.
Well, that's what I mean. They've done well, haven't they, Liverpool, to play a 4 up-front formation with no strikers whatsoever. It was interesting, like you say, Szoboszlai playing as the false 9 at times. But I also saw, as I was saying to you, him right back on the edge of his box, helping defend sometimes. You touched on a point in the previous episode of Tactics with Mazraoui that we did for Man United, how that's going to free up Casemiro and enable him to almost play more of a number 10. We'll talk about Casemiro in a minute because he had a stinker. But this new position of Szoboszlai is, if he is going to play that is going to be a considerable amount of workload on him. But is he perhaps more ready for that than Casemiro?
Well, he's a lot fitter than Casemiro and he's a lot quicker than Casemiro. So, yeah, he was incredible box to box. But the key fact of it is what they're doing is they're setting traps. So instead of under Klopp, as soon as you lose the ball, counter-press, gegenpress Jurgen Klopp. What Slot's team are doing is getting in a position where they're going to make the other team make mistakes and then basically say, when you're in our position, we're going to take the ball off you. They set that little trap in midfield, and then Casemiro was robbed once and gave the ball away once in that formation, and then Liverpool charged forward from there. And Szoboszlai was part of the press, and then you'll notice from the Diaz goal with the Salah cross to the back post, it was actually Szoboszlai in the area as well. So he covered an unbelievable amount of ground, and we can see with his touch maps and his heat maps, he was all over the place. And so that's an incredible feat to be the number 9, the number 10, and maybe even another number 8 as well. And, you know, I was just shocked at how good he was.
Yeah, so if inverted full-backs are now out of fashion, right, they're behind us. We're now almost coming full circle, are we, to the old days, the Steven Gerrards of the world, the Frank Lampards of the world, when central midfielders are expected to be back on the edge of their own box, making tackles, putting their heads in where it hurts, and also getting up the pitch, getting involved in attacks. Is that right? Because that is somewhat different to how most big teams, including probably Man City and Arsenal, how they'll be approaching things this season.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see how Liverpool do it differently or the same way against Man City and Arsenal, and also teams like Spurs and Brighton, who enjoy a lot of possession in defensive areas, because that's basically what Liverpool said was, you centre-halves can have it. We don't mind, you're not going to hurt us there. Yeah. You can have it as soon as you try to play through the middle of us. Then we're going to take it off you, which is the trap. I'm not for a minute saying that Trent is not going to invert at times. When the ball's on the other side of the pitch, he's going to invert. He's going to move across there. You know, it's what he does. He wants to be involved in play. You know, he got in the box to score the goal that was disallowed. Yep. However, what it means is that the centre midfielders are in centre midfield and the fullback can be in a crossing position. So Slot's gone a little bit back to basics there. Against Ipswich in their first game, Ipswich set up this sort of plan to put this ring around Trent, where he wasn't enabled to go into midfield and he wasn't allowed to move into that area. And then Gravenberch actually went and held that position to come and get the ball. Trent got the ball in the right-back position and played Salah through to score. So it's quite frightening, really, how adaptable Liverpool have become in the first couple of weeks. Out of 2 months of training with Arne Slot. I mean, Erik Ten Hag's been there 2 years and we haven't seen that yet. So it was very, very impressive.
Well, look, I'm not sure what to come after you about first. The slotting in joke, which was quite frankly one of the worst I've ever heard, or you calling Trent Alexander-Arnold Trent, like the rest of the country does. But look, what is it with Szoboszlai, or more importantly, what is it the other teammates are doing, his teammates are doing, to enable him to play that position? Because it was sort of a free role, like a false 9, false 6, false 8, false everything, but a bit of all three. Now, that requires some serious discipline from his other midfield teammates, does it not? Yeah,
the double pivot of McAllister and Gravenberch was very, very impressive as well, where a lot of teams are playing with one. They play with one player there and 2 ahead who chase the ball. Liverpool are playing with 2, which basically means that one of them can go and try and steal possession, which is what Gravenberch did from Casemiro's pass.
He did that a lot, didn't he? Yeah,
he did that a lot. I mean, 4 or 5 interceptions in the first half alone. Yeah. But you can only do that as a holding midfield player if you've got your mate to your left or to your right, if the ball's on the other side of the field. So he can cover that position in behind. And because he knows how good McAllister is and how disciplined he was, he went hunting. And he went hunting for the ball and made Man United look very, very silly. Same on the other side. McAllister can go looking for the ball and Gravenberch can go in behind. But those two can only play as a 2. You'd think there'd be a man light in there playing as a 2, but Szoboszlai then comes back from that attacking position and makes it a 3. So it's like they had 12 men at times. It certainly looked like they had more midfielders than Man United anyway.
Yeah, Dominic Szoboszlai, 2 players in 1, but will need the help from his mates McAllister and Ryan Gravenberch. OK, look, you've mentioned your mate Trent already.
First name terms.
Alexander-Arnold for a while was considered one of, if not the greatest right-back in the world. Then that was a bit too unfashionable for him and he wanted to be a centre midfielder. Then all of a sudden, all right-backs wanted to be centre midfielders and inverting was in vogue. Where does this leave Trent at the moment? Because that's already quite a packed midfield area. And like you say, certainly in the defensive positions, McAllister and Gravenberch, if they're sitting deep, not necessarily loads of room for Trent to get involved.
Yeah, as we said, he's an intelligent footballer and he's not just a right back. under Jurgen Klopp, it was very much emphasis is on him going into that area and picking up the ball in that area. And that confuses teams at times because you don't know if that's a centre. You know, you take a split second look over your shoulder and you think, is that a midfielder or is that a right back? And so therefore it's crowding a midfield area. But what Slot's done differently is say, no, you're a right back. That doesn't mean you don't move in there when the space is there, but you're not just picking that position up immediately because that's your position. So he's got that whole right flank. I mean, it's Alexander-Arnold, didn't call him Trent there, and Salah down that side. It's a frightening prospect to play against. But what it means is, as well, is that teams are going to have to find a way to counteract it. And Man United tried on Sunday to be brave.
Badly,
but they tried to be fair to Ten Hag in that sense. He tried to leave Rashford right upfield. He left him right up on the halfway line. And
what he didn't consider in that instance, though, was that Liverpool just going to be like, well, he's not playing very well. We don't care about.
Well, we'll just leave him 1v1 is basically what they did.
Yeah.
Ten Hag wanted that Rashford to stay up there, so it pinned Trent back. But Liverpool went, no, it's all right. We'll just leave him there and the other centre-back can pick him up and Trent can go and run riot everywhere else without needing to be marked. So they tried to counterbalance it, but they got it wrong. And what Trent did very, very cleverly is he either goes inside when the ball's on the other side of the field, so he's the extra midfield player to switch play, or when the ball's on his side, he played as a more traditional right-back, if we can call it that. He got in the box, the crosses were there. And what that's going to do is make Salah even more dangerous. And again, flipping hell, that's a frightening thought for everybody else.
Exactly that. I mean, Mo Salah, he dropped the bombshell after the game, obviously, that it potentially is his last year at Liverpool.
What's going on, Liverpool? Come on, get a contract in front of him.
Exactly that. No one's asked me about it yet. I mean, if you want to ring me tomorrow, though, I'm open to it. Yeah. But look, proved how important he was. Again, man of the match, hands down. And it's easy when players get a little bit more into their 30s to go, start looking at the old watch. But proved how important he was. Again, he's used to being the superstar at Liverpool. It does seem under Arne Slot that there's going to be some more room other than those front three who under Klopp were the Woody All-Stars, weren't they?
Yeah.
It does feel like there's going to be more room for other players to sort of step up to the plate. Does that necessarily mean that Salah gets moved to the shadows a bit, or is it actually going to do him a favour?
Absolutely
somehow
not. You're not going to move. You're not going to move Salah to the shadows at all. And I actually think in this way that they're set up, it's given Salah even more freedom. Now,
how so?
We know how good Bobby Firmino and Sadio Mane were in that. Bobby,
Bobby and Trent.
Goodness me, in that formation. But the brilliant thing about Firmino is that he understood space in front of him. And I actually think that part of Salah's frustrations last year under Klopp, we saw them fall out. The form from Salah at the end of the year wasn't great, or wasn't great for him. Let's put it into perspective.
Still one of the greatest players on the planet.
Absolutely. But when we talked before about Alexander-Arnold going into that inverted position, a number 10 coming forward, a number 9 dropping back, all that did was cram the space for Salah, who's a left-footed player playing on the right, who cuts inside on his left foot. Not enough space for him. And then, because Alexander-Arnold, as the right back, twice in a row there, I didn't say Trent, has come into the number 10 position, he also hasn't got anyone overlapping him. So the fullback who's marking him knows he's going inside because he doesn't have to cover that area behind him. What this new setup under Slot has done is make it indecision for the fullback. We've got a right back going up the outside of us. Salah's got the ball at his feet. There's space inside. I've got to block the shot, but hang on a minute. There's somebody going in behind me. Where do I go? What he did was Dalot, step off. Salah plays it into Diaz, bang, back of the net. Yeah. And so if all of a sudden you're thinking, oh no, we're giving Salah more space, then big trouble. And what they did, United, was drop off again. Another cross comes in. Szoboszlai got in the box, should have scored for 4. Gary Neville's a little bit harsh, I think, calling him disrespectful. I mean, if you can't do flicks and tricks at 3-0 up at Old Trafford, then I don't know when you can.
You do them?
But still, and if Mo Salah, is given that amount of room, he is just going to have assists and goals all over the place. If you've not got him in your dream team, then get him in now, I'd suggest.
Well, so would you say then, Dino, it sounds like you're saying that flexibility is the order of the day, and it's not the days are past when teams just set up in a certain way, play it out for 90 minutes and hope they score more than the others. We've seen how good Man City are at doing that, and you're saying the same thing, it sounds, about Liverpool. Are you going to expect them to set up like this? Because it sounds like it's a system that's going to work against the big teams, all the teams that they're worried about threatening them. Is that going to be the case? Are they going to set up like this every game?
Well, it certainly worked against Manchester United, and you know Manchester United got the wrong ball Dutch manager, if you ask me, because it's taken Erik Ten Hag 2 years to get to a stage where we've even got anything resembling a tactic, as we talked about with Mazraoui and Casemiro last week. But now you've looked at it, and Arne Slot has been there for 2 months, and he's set up a team in a way that they can beat you in 3 different ways.
Yeah.
He's played differently against Ipswich, differently against Brentford, and differently against Man United. 9 points out of 9. I'd say that Man City and Arsenal in particular are going to have to find a way to work out how they can break that 4-man press down, because that is, you know, quite incredible how quickly Liverpool were around the ball. And as I say, it's not a counter press. It's not when we lose the ball. It's we'll let you take a goal kick, get yourself into a dangerous position, and then we'll take the ball off you. And it was absolutely fantastic to watch, not if you're a Man United fan, but the adaptability of it. Then they bring Darwin Núñez on. They've got Chiesa to come, which I mentioned at the beginning there. And look, Chiesa is a strange forward in the respect that I'm not sure he's a winger or a centre forward, but in that Liverpool adaptable formation where you're going to have pace, power and those pressing monsters to come at you all the way through, he's going to be a real addition again. I think Liverpool are going to be quite a team to beat this year.
Okay.
Everyone's talked about Arsenal, everyone's talked about City. If Liverpool play like that and could be as adaptable as that, they're going to take some stopping.
Right, look, you've sold it to me, but we can't get around the fact that Casemiro handed them that game, OK? So if Casemiro's not there with those 2 absolute clangers, maybe it's a closer game, maybe it's not as one-sided as the scoreline would suggest. Is this system going to work against Arsenal and against Manchester City when they come up against those teams? Because arguably, and we've seen the last couple of seasons, it's those games where the title is won and lost. If that happens, is it going to be as effective against teams who, forgive me, are better than Manchester United?
No, I think that will be the challenge. That will absolutely be the challenge. And the key to it is that in that game, Liverpool basically decided that Manchester United centre-backs weren't good enough to break the lines with either the passing or running with the ball. You've got
Which is a fair assumption.
Absolutely,
isn't it?
yeah. I mean, Martinez is better on the ball than a lot of defenders, but he's still not of the level of some of the others. Look, Gvardiol...
You need more than one, don't you?
Absolutely. You absolutely need more than one.
Play.
And so where you've got then Gvardiol, Akanji and Diaz at Man City perhaps, then you're going to have a Man City centre-back, John Stones, who may step in with the ball and be brave in that position. And also... what other teams have got, and look, I know we all know Tottenham's defensive frailties, but you've got people like Van der Ven and Romero in a Tottenham side who'll run forward with the ball, and so therefore they're not going to pass it, so you're not waiting for that pounce on the ball. So that's another way to counter it.
But it's still another on-the-ball skill.
Absolutely. And Arsenal have been very good at being more direct with their passing, which is, you know, beating the press with a diagonal pass where you've got the likes of Salah or Martinelli or Trossard or Odegaard who can take the ball on the half-turn and the run from a longer pass. So that'll be something that Liverpool have to counter. But from the first couple of weeks, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, in-game adaptability, it sounds like, from tactical guru Dean Scoggins, is the order of the day for this season. Who knows whether his mates Arnie, Trent and all the Virgie and all the rest of them are going to have enough to take the title off of Manchester City and even run Arsenal close for second spot. Only time will tell, but Dino says, look out for the Reds. That's it for this episode of Tactics Exposed. Make sure you're following Sun Sport on all of our social media platforms. Subscribe to YouTube to make sure that you never miss an episode.